And welcome to Primetime News, live here on News First. I'm Mahina Bongzo. We start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Chinese President Xi Jinping warns China will not be oppressed by foreign nations. President meets representatives of farmers, says that 80 billion spent on importing fertilizer will be provided to farmers. Nurses engage in a 48-hour trade union action. Treatment of patients hampered. Securities and Exchange Commission commences investigation into an unusual share market transaction.
Take a look at a story that made the global headlines today. China's President Xi Jinping today said that China will not allow itself to be bullied, and anyone who attempted to do so will face broken heads and bloodshed in front of the Iron Great Wall of the 1.4 billion Chinese people.
President Xi Jinping spoke from the balcony of Tiananmen Gate, emphasizing the party's role in bringing China to global prominence and saying it would never be divided from the people.
经过全党全国各族人民持续奋斗。
We Chinese are people who uphold justice and not intimidated by the threat of power and force. We have never bullied, oppressed or enslaved the people of any other country, not in the past, during the present or in the future. At the same time, the Chinese people will absolutely not allow any foreign force to bully, oppress or enslave us. Anyone who attempts to do so will end up with broken heads and bloodshed in front of the Iron Great Wall of the 1.4 billion Chinese people.
社会主义现代化强国的第二个100年奋斗目标迈进。
It comes as China faces criticism over alleged human rights abuses and its crackdown in Hong Kong. Relations between the US and China have worsened in recent times over trade, espionage and the pandemic. He also called the move to unify China and Taiwan an unshakable commitment and vowed resolute action to utterly defeat any attempt towards Taiwan independence.
Sri Lanka's nursing staff attached to 3 trade unions went on sick leave today as part of a trade union action. Now, the protest that began at 7 this morning will continue to be in place for 48 hours. The trade union action hampered activities at hospitals across the island today.
අපි දන්නේ නැහැ කිව්වම උත්තරේ හරියද මිනිස්සු කී දහයක්ද මෙතන මේ ඔක්කොම සල්ලි තියෙන මිනිස්සු දැවිත් ඉන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ අපි වගේ මිනිස්සු තමයි ඇවිත් ඉන්නේ පාලනය කරන කාලකන්නියට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ.
People who travel to the National Eye Hospital for treatment from various parts of the island were seen standing in long queues outside the hospital since this morning.
ඉතින් අපි මොනවද කරන්නේ? අපි අන්ත අසරණලා නේද දැන් ඉන්නේ. උදේ 5:00ට අපි ආයි ත්‍රිවිල් වල එන්නත් ඕන. ඒවට සල්ලි ගවන ආයි සල්ලි ගෙවාගෙන යන්නත් ඕන.
ගරම් ගන්න දැන් ඉතින් රත්තරන් දාලා උදේ පාන්දර ආවේ ඉතින් දැන් ඉතින් අහන්න දෙන්නේ සපද කියලා යන.
වැලි කන්දේ ඉඳලා ආවේ. වීල් එකකට 12000ක්.
මට ඉතින් කියන්න තියෙන්නේ සෞභාග්‍ය දැක්මටපත් වෙච්ච උන් පොට්ටයි කියලා තමයි ඉතින්.
Patients who came for treatment at the National Hospital were also turned back. A clinical program at the Kalubovila Teaching Hospital was also disrupted. Some doctors at the Gambha District General Hospital carried out the duties that are usually assigned to nursing staff. Nursing staff at the Colombo North Teaching Hospital had also joined the trade union protest.
උදේ 6 ඉඳන් ඉන්නේ මහත්මයා මේ සියලු දෙනාම දුප්පත් මිනිස්සු.
අපි වගේම යාළගේ අපහසුතාවය නිසානේ යාළා වික්ටින් එකක් කරන්නේ.
The Government Medical Officers Association said that one person collapsed at the Badulla General Hospital as the cancer treatment unit of the hospital was closed today. Nursing staff who were protesting had later treated this patient. All nursing staff at the Kandy General Hospital had gone on sick leave. Our correspondents said that the doctors at the Hatton Dikkoya Base Hospital had been working as nursing staff.
Such a situation would not have arisen if the Ministry of Health was flexible in handling this matter. What we see is that there is no ruler in this country to listen to these woes. I would like to tell all of you to follow a policy that will treat everyone in a fair manner. Today's strike action was completely successful. Today was one of the most successful strike actions launched in the history of the Nurses Union. There are some solutions that have exceeded the authority of the Ministry of Health. We have to hold discussions with the relevant institutions and take a decision on that. Among the demands of the nursing staff are the 15,000 rupee overnight travel and accident allowance promised to them in 2015, promotions and converting nursing colleges into universities.
Several requests emerged when the inoculation drive to vaccinate those over the age of 60 came into effect. I am sure you understand the ulterior motives behind these requests. It is also very clear that several politicians and health authorities are behind this.
They are right
and everyone else is wrong. You cannot try to bring every move of every doctor into the eye of the public. If you try to do that, there won't be doctors left in the hospital. We have all the reports. This is a ministry that is merely run by doctors, and the subject minister is the perfect candidate for that position. The President and the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka are planning on operating our country based on the instructions given by the Government Medical Officers Association.
Another 43 COVID-19 deaths were reported today. 16 women and 27 men are among the deceased. Meanwhile, another 1,173 new cases of COVID-19 were identified today. With that, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the island has risen to 252,787.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa met with district board representatives of the National Farmers Organization today. The president informed the representatives on the future plan of the government after commencing the use of organic fertilizer in the country.
According to a release issued by the President's Media Division, the National Farmers Organization is comprised of 1.1 million farmers, 1,700 farming organizations and 563 agrarian service centers. The President's Media Division further noted that the representatives requested the President to not reverse the steps that were taken to import organic fertilizer. The President had told the representatives of farmers that weedicides, pesticides and organic fertilizer will be distributed to the farmers in the same amounts they distributed the chemical fertilizer to the farmers. The President also pointed out that there will be no room left for reduction of the price paid to farmers for their harvest, and in case there is a price drop, the government will provide the necessary amount and will not at any point cause hindrance to farmers. The President also said that the annual expenditure of 80 billion rupees for importing chemical fertilizer to safeguard the future generations from non-communicable diseases will be provided to the innocent farming community of this country. Meanwhile, the hampered efforts of the previous government to set up an insurance fund for farmers was reinvigorated as Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Alutgamage handed over the insurance scheme to the President today. The Minister of Agriculture noted that the government has directed its attention to increase the pensions of farmers as well. The President's Media Division said that the President's approval has been granted to increase the contract price of 2 million rupees set up to renovate tanks, sluice gates and canals to 10 million rupees.
The following views regarding the protests against the fertilizer shortage were expressed at a media briefing convened by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today.
JVP Private Limited and SJB Private Limited are talking as if they are the board of directors or shareholders of agricultural fertilizer companies. I believe the decision the President has made is a tremendous step towards the future. I believe it is the most valuable act of merit he has carried out in his life. It is with great responsibility that I say that I believe that the farmers of this country are undergoing a gradual transformation into true farmers in every sense of the word. I am a chairman of a branch of the SLPP. We are not divided along party lines. We are speaking on behalf of the farmers.
A protest was staged in Bogahakumbura Valley Mada yesterday demanding for solutions to the fertilizer shortage. A protest was staged in Boralanda town demanding solutions to the fertilizer issue. Farmers in Kindelpitiya Bandaragama staged a protest at the Kindelpitiya junction.
හිටියඩිය මේ පෝර ටික නැති කරපු නිසා අද ගොවියන්ට සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන පෝර කඩගානේ ගොවිජන සේවා මධ්‍යස්ථාන ගාන රස්තියාදු වෙන්න එහෙම නැත්නම් මහපාරේ උද්ඝෝෂණය කරන්න. පෝර නැතේ පෝර නැතේ පාලකයට.
Farmers in Udukumbalwala, Alla Bandarwala staged a demonstration demanding for solutions to the fertilizer issue in the country.
පෙරේදා දවසේ කියන 101ක් තියෙනවා කියලා පොහොර ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඊයේ දවසේ කියන 105ක් ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. ඇත්තටම මහත්ව ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මේක ඔබතුමා ඇවිල්ලා බලන්න මේ වණ්ඩාල වැලිමට පැති වෙලා කඩේකට ඇවිල්ලා බලන්න. ඔබතුමා තව දවස් 5කින් කිය 125ක් තියෙනවා කියලා. තව දවස් 50කින් කිය 150ක් තියෙනවා කියලා. එතකොට ගොවිජනයාට වෙන්න ඕන හානිය සම්පූර්ණ වෙලා ඉවරයි මැතුමෝ. ඔබලා සියලු දෙනාම ගොවියා වැටුනොත් කබලෙන් ලිබඩ වැටෙනවා. ඒක හොඳට මතක තියාගෙන අපිට අවශ්‍ය පොර ලබා දිය.
Plantation workers of Lavender Estate in the Yatiyanthota Divisional Secretariat have been severely impacted since 2016 owing to substandard means of accommodation. The workers have had to resort to tents during rain and century-old line rooms during daylight. They point out that the line rooms being in danger of landslides have not been brought to light. The workers have been instructed to live in temporary tent setups, a life they describe as not so pleasant. The century-old line rooms on the verge of collapse do not present a better life either. The workers engaged in a protest near the tents today.
දැසේ බැවුම් බස් එක ගිනවා ලයිමට යන්න කියලා. ලයිමට ගිහලා ඉන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් ඉන්න බෑ. ඔක්කොම නාය යනවා කියලා සේනම කැල්ල ගිහලා තියෙන්නේ. අපිට මෙතන ඉඩමක් ලබා දෙන්නේ. අපිට ඉඩමක් ලබා දෙන්නම් බස්. අපිට පුළුවන් මැටි ගාලා හරි අපිට පුළුවන් ගයක් හදාගන්න.
එවිලා අපි දුක් විඳිනවා. මේ කූඩාරවල ඉන්න බෑ. තෙමිනවා කූඩොල්ල එනවා. සත්තු එනවා. ණය එනවා. කූඩාර ඇතුළට ළමයි තියාගෙන පොඩි ළමයි තියාගෙන ඉන්න බෑ අපිට. හරි දුකයි.
In more local news, Israel Aerospace Industries signed a contract worth $50 million with Sri Lanka's Ministry of Defence to upgrade Kafir aircraft for the Sri Lankan Air Force. The deal includes replacing the aircraft's basic avionics with the advanced 4+ generation fighter aircraft avionics in order to one day integrate advanced radar, sensors, communication systems and new helmets. The upgrade process will also include the transfer of knowledge and skills for refurbishment to Sri Lankan Air Force personnel. Fitch Ratings says Sri Lankan banks are at risk due to their significant exposure to government securities.
Fitch Ratings has issued a latest report with regard to Sri Lanka, where they speak about the situation the banks are going to face in the country. Now, Fitch Ratings says large Sri Lankan banks most exposed to sovereign risk. Now, what does this mean? We know that the government of Sri Lanka took steps to take dollar loans, and this has exposed the banking system of our country to these loans, as they have obtained these dollar denominated or foreign currency denominated loans from the market. Now, Fitch Ratings has highlighted the fact that in some cases, due to the fact that there is a weaker capital, and to the main fact that these banks, domestic banks, have significant direct exposure to sovereign largely via government security holdings, this has created a problem. Now, Fitch Ratings has also highlighted another point, and that point is about the debt servicing of the country. They say by the year 2026, the government of Sri Lanka will have to focus on paying $29 billion as debt servicing or debt repayments for this time frame. This is the forecast that they have, and they also highlight and point out to the fact that by April of 2021, we have had only $4.5 billion in our reserves. These 2 points have been highlighted by the latest Fitch report.
ෆිච් ආයතනය කියනවා එන අවුරුදු 2026 වෙනකන් අවුරුදු 4ට ඩොලර්.
The Fitch rating agency has said that Sri Lanka has to pay back $29 billion during the next 4 years until 2026. The government has to pay back $4 to $4.5 billion every year. By day before yesterday, Sri Lanka only had about $3.5 billion in funds that can be used. Out of this, if a certain amount is used to pay for development bonds, and then there are maturing sovereign bonds valued at about $1 billion. No matter how much they restrict imports or go borrow $200 to $300 million, we cannot solve this issue. They must understand this. By doing this, the international community and investors will understand that we are trying to do something that cannot be done. So their faith in Sri Lanka will be lost. Then there is Sri Lanka's money printing policy. The value of the rupee is on the one hand depreciating against the dollar, and on the other hand depreciating against the price of goods. This is inflation. If they continue like this, the community will become uncontrollable. The only thing that can be done is to speak to our investors to restructure this debt. So we will need the International Monetary Fund to facilitate this discussion. During the discussions with the IMF and foreign investors, we will have to reprofile this debt. We will be undertaking that the full debt payment will be honored, but we are asking for an extension of about 36 months for the loan and postpone the premiums for about 48 months. We will have to request this effect. If we do that successfully, then we can save about $5 billion each year. We will be able to do this restructuring. There is no way out for us to come out of this crisis unless we restructure our debt.
මේ තියෙන මහ විශාල අර්බුදයෙන් ගොඩ එන්න නම් අපිට වෙන කිසිම විකල්පයක් නැහැ ණය ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කරන්නේ නැතුව.
මේ ආර්ථික අර්බුද කියන අවස්ථාවක මුදල් අච්චු ගැසීම සාර්ථක ක්‍රියාවක් කරනවා. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී මේ සඳහා බහුතර ඡන්දයකින් අනුමැතිය ලබා දුන්නා.
The Parliament has given the go-ahead to this through a majority vote. The approval has been sought to print money required for this year. This printing is carried out through the issuance of treasury bills. The approval of the general public has been received through the Parliament. If anyone is of the view that the government is printing money according to their whims and fancies, they do not have a pragmatic understanding of this subject. The government does not have the authority or the ability to print money in such an irresponsible manner.
නිසා රාජ්‍යයකට වගකීම් ග්‍රහීතව එහෙම මුදල් නිකුත් කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් බලයක් ඇත්තේ නැහැ.
රියල් බිලියන 208ක ප්‍රමාණය මුද්‍රණය කරනවා. මේක මොකක්ද නැත්නම් රටේ ආර්ථික මිලදී කඩන් ගැනීමට ලක් වෙයිද?
මොකක්ද දන්නේ මට ඒකට උත්තර දෙන්න බෑ මොකද
I cannot comment on that. I do not know whether these are physical notes and coins that they are talking about or another type of currency. There are various types of currencies. It is quite difficult to give an answer without knowing exactly what it is.
The indices of the Colombo Stock Exchange, which showed an increasing trend at the start of the week, declined today. The Securities and Exchange Commission has launched an investigation into an abnormal transaction of shares within the Colombo Stock Exchange. Issuing a notice, the SEC said strict action would be taken if any illegal transactions have taken place in violation of stock market rules and regulations.
The stock price of LOLC Development Finance PLC, a listed company at the Colombo Stock Exchange, has been receiving widespread attention in the market over the past few days due to the unusual rise in its share price. Based on data from the Colombo Stock Exchange yesterday, shares of the entity in question had been traded at 618 rupees and 75 cents. The share price of LOLC Development Finance PLC, which stood at 73 rupees at the end of May this year, had risen by a staggering 747%. However, overall indices of the CSE had dropped yesterday in comparison to previous days. At the end of trading today, a share of LOLC Development Finance PLC sold at 524 rupees and 50 cents. The share price of this company had dropped by 170 rupees and 20 cents. Pursuant to an inquiry made by the CSE on the 28th of June, the chairman of LOLC Development Finance PLC had disclosed that no such undisclosed price-sensitive information had been withheld by the company. LOLC Development Finance has added it presumed the company's year-end performance and the performance of its parent company, LOLC Group, may have led to the abnormal surge in share prices. Another discourse has arisen over the quantity of shares publicly listed by LOLC Development Finance. When perusing reports of the CSE, 99.89% of the total shares of LOLC Development Finance is owned by the LOLC Group, while 55.55% is held by LOLC Holdings, 44.34% is held by Commercial Leasing and Finance owned by the LOLC Group. Hence, the publicly listed quantity of shares of LOLC Development Finance PLC at the CSE is 0.01%. Is it possible to maintain a listed company by opening such a small number of shares to the public in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Securities and Exchange Commission?
When
companies are issuing their shares in the share market, only 85% could be issued. Out of the shares they have, 15% must be used to the people. 99.9 shares of the LOLC Development Finance PLC secured by its ownership. The shares that have been issued to the people are less than 0.1%. What is happening here now? The law is being violated in broad daylight. The present ownership of this company came into play in the year 2013. This company has had profits in 2013 up until now, except for 2019. The profits that they have enjoyed are beyond 1 billion rupees. So the present ownership of this company have surpassed 9 accounting periods, but they have issued dividends only in 2018 in these accounting periods. There is a massive fraud behind this. This government has given tax concessions to the companies who are active competitors in the share market today. The companies that have been registered at the share market were given a 50% tax concession by the 2021 budget. However, these companies are violating the very fundamentals of issuing shares.
2021 අයවැයෙන් කොටස් වල ලියාපදිංචි සමාගම් වලට 150ක බදු සහනයක්. හැබැයි මේ සමාගම් කොටස් නිකුතුව සම්බන්ධ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය කියලා තියෙන අවම මූලධර්ම පවා උල්ලංඝනය කර.
It's time now for a short break. More news on the other side.
Bellboy's got you covered. Download Bellboy today to get all your household appliance fixing and repairs done. Now available on Android and iOS.
Welcome back. Protests against the skyrocketing cost of living were staged by political parties and the public across the island today.
The impact of the fuel price hike on the cost of living was demonstrated at this protest today.
මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ කාටවත් කිසිම රැකියාවක් කරගන්න බැරුව අද තුන් වේලෙන් එක වේලක් කාලා අද බඩගින්න ඉන්න තත්ත්වයට මේ ජනතාව පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
මේ රටේ ජනතාව The people of this nation have been made victims to three fears, like the people of the ancient city of Vishala. On one hand, there is hunger, and on the other, there is fear of disease. And on top of that, there is fear of death.
අනිත් එක තියෙනවා රෝග බිය.
Meanwhile, a protest organized by the Samagi Jana Balawegaya was held in Slave Island today. The Janata Vimukti Perumana organized a protest in Morawaka today. There is no proper production of goods in the country anymore. This means prices will spike once goods are available in the market. Printing money this way is increasing the general price level and accelerating inflation. Instead of bringing investments of value into the country, all they are doing is selling off this country's assets.
Will Basil Rajapaksa enter parliament? Are the constituent parties in agreement for this move?
We believe that he will enter parliament on the 8th, which is next week. The members of our constituent parties have no issue with this decision. They too want to fulfill the hopes of the party. Our brotherhood with them will increase after Basil Rajapaksa comes to parliament. Although Basil Rajapaksa was not as minister before he exercised the responsibilities and powers of an officer, he came back into parliament and we have no problem with that. But just because he came into parliament does not mean that the issues will be magically solved. The issue started in a government where he was a part of. So that is not important to us. There is a massive issue in the system here. Members of parliament have become nothing but rubber stamps. Cabinet ministers too suffer the same fate. I believe that these matters must be rectified.
බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා ආවා අපි ගෙහින්නේ මේ පඬු පුල්ලාසන රත් වුණා වගේ ඇලටින්ගේ පුදුම පහන වගේ.
Basil Rajapaksa is not a magical being like the genie in Aladdin's lamp. It is wrong for someone to think that fuel prices will be reduced. The fertilizer shortage will be resolved and the COVID-19 pandemic will end. Basil Rajapaksa is an ordinary man. Just because he's brought to parliament doesn't mean that he can perform miracles. We would like to ask the opposition to be patient. We will not inform you of what the program is right now. We will do it and show you. Even if Basil Rajapaksa comes, it will be the same. The situation will only get worse. It will not get any better. The older brothers, younger brothers, sons and all the other relatives have taken over power here. When they came into power, they said President Gotabaya needs 2/3 majority and the people gave them that. Then they said the 2/3 majority is not enough. We need the 20th amendment and ultimate executive powers. Even that was given. After taking all of that, now they say they need Basil as well.
Venerable Dr. Omar P. Sobitathero says State Minister Nalaka Godaheva must resign owing to the false statements he made regarding the deaths of marine creatures.
රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරයෙක් කියනවා ඔය මුහුදු ජීවීන් මිය යාම සිදුවන්නේ වාරකම් කාලයට සිදුවන.
A state minister says these marine creatures are dying due to a natural phenomenon that occurs annually during high tide. Here, an expert panel of 39 presented a report rejecting the minister's biased views, revealing the truth of this matter. The sole reason behind all of the deaths of these creatures are the poisonous chemicals released by the Express Pearl vessel. People like Nalaka Godaheva who mislead the people and bear biased opinions must be punished. They have neglected their duties. If they were gentlemen, they would have resigned by now.
මහත්වරුන් හැටියට එවන් අය තමන්ගේ වගකීම් වලින් ඉල්ලා අස්විය යුතුයි.
The Army Major General, who was presented before courts following an incident involving the wildlife officers of the Mineria National Park, has been released on bail. He was released on 2 sureties of 500,000 rupees each after being produced before the Kakirava Magistrates Court. He is due to appear before court again on the 3rd of February. Police have begun investigations on 4 suspects who were allegedly involved in a brawl between 2 groups in Maravilla. 5 suspects who were taken into custody earlier were released on bail yesterday.
The brawl broke out on the 28th of June between two groups at a residence in Marvilla.
Finally, former Sri Lanka cricket captain Arjuna Ranatunga expressed his views regarding the current situation of Sri Lanka cricket.
I saw the team coming from India yesterday. I am not saying that it's India's A team. Maybe our cricket is bad at the moment, but we have an identity. We have respect. When India's B team is coming to this country, at least the people in our administration should have said we would not take this group. Can't the Minister of Sports say that we do not want to play with a team like this? It is because of the weakness of this administration that discipline has been lost today. Corruption has increased. I am very saddened that these people who are elected to take care of what we have built so far do not care about the identity of cricket in the country. They just want money. It is now proven.
And that's it from the Newsfirst team for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Also joining us today is our sign language interpreter, Paraka Gabriel, via Zoom. I'm Mahina Bonzo. Have yourself a great evening. Good night.